Hey y'all, I finally got up the gumption to talk about my road to becoming a homesteader. It has been hard. What I had planned is not how it went down. I lost a lot getting here, and I'm going to tell you all about it. I started gardening during COVID. I had always wanted to garden, even back when I was married. It's kind of funny that I used a little gardening tool bag that I had purchased back when I was married that I finally used 14 years later. It was one thing I just had never gotten around to doing until 2020. During COVID, I lived in a suburb of a big city in the Carolinas. I had a small ranch in a typical community with an HOA. I also had an easement in my backyard. This meant I couldn't build any permanent structures, even a fence, unless I had a custom-made gate that would allow heavy equipment in. It had to be accessible in case the people needed to get to the fuel line underground. This info wasn't completely shared with me until a neighbor built his fence. When I was building my house, I was told, of course you can put a fence over it, but left out the part about the custom-made gate. So even though I had a quarter acre, I could only use a fraction of it. This resulted in me building raised beds and gardening in containers. I have videos on my channel since 2021. They document my urban homesteading journey. My channel was originally about urban gardening because I figured I'm just going to make it work where I am.
So that's it, guys. That is the final tour of June 2021. I'm so excited about the different things that I tried this year, and I am very interested in comparing and making notes about some of the gardening practices I'm trying here in my urban garden.
I talked a little bit about this in my Trad Wife to Solo Homesteader video. Shout out to everyone for your kind and encouraging words. I had no idea my experience resonated with so many people. If you feel that you too resonate with my journey, please consider subscribing. So I grew what I could in the space that I had. I really wanted chickens and more space and less restrictions. I'd even looked into the loophole for chickens, which is to get them as emotional support animals. Yeah, it's a thing. They are really interesting if you don't know about chickens. I currently have 12 and they all have different personalities. So since I was going to try to make it work in the city that I lived in, I started looking for places on the outskirts of my city to see what was out there. There wasn't much, so I resolved to just stay put. I knew my family had land, but I didn't want to be away from them and be alone in a small town that I didn't know anybody, and it just wasn't an option. Then I broke my ankle and realized I was alone anyway, so I decided to take the leap. I called my mom and asked for my grandmother's land. It still had my grandmother's house on it. I lived there with her, with my sister Sean, while my mom went back to college after she divorced my natural father. I lived with her until I was 6. This house was built in the 1930s by my grandmother and her sister. Yes, you heard me right. Folks used to order mail order homes and put them together. You can still do that, but that is for another video. So my grandmother and my Aola put that house together. And when she married my grandfather, it was rented out to school teachers in the community who worked at the school down the road. Then my mom and my aunt and my uncle and my grandmother and my grandfather finally moved into it when my mom was in high school. And my mom stayed there until she married my natural father. My plan was to sell my home in the city I lived in. Oops, I almost slipped up. I was going to sell my home, move in with my parents, buy a single wide with the profit of the home I sold. The housing boom where I live was crazy, and I got more than twice of what I paid for the house. I had plenty of money to buy my manufactured home, prepare the land, and even have some left over. Now, the key thing is, I wasn't looking for an extravagant home. My target was to not have a mortgage because this is a part of my retirement plan. And furthermore, mortgages are a big racket. Over the years I lived in my house, I had paid $70,000 worth of mortgage payments. And my principal only went down $12,000. I was so livid when I realized that, how much I had paid into it, but how much it had only gone down. I mean, you see the total of your principal every month when you pay, but it just didn't register that it should be a lot less than that. But anyway, I could not believe it, and I told everybody who would listen about how mortgage is a racket and how you pay $70,000 and only $12,000 will be going off your principal. Remember this, because it's going to come up again. I had picked out a single lot wide from Clanton Homes that was $90,000, and I really think it's still $90,000 now, or close to it. It was a single wide, 4-bedroom, and that's what I was going to get. And I was going to live with my parents while it was getting prepared to be put on the lot, and put my house up for sale. It sold in 2 weeks. But while I was waiting for the closing date, something happened. There's a huge plot twist here, folks, that made what I thought would be a simple move within a few months last almost a year. I lost money, family relationships, trying to grab this homesteading dream. Please sub and click the bell so you will see the next part of my homesteading journey, entitled My Family Fallout. Thanks for listening this far. I really appreciate your time and your listening ear. See you next time.